the New England Patriots, the defending AFC East champs, the defending AFC champs, won 14 games last year. Shocked a lot of people. Like, we both had them doing pretty well. Sleeper playoff team. I had them 10-7. I think they exceeded everybody's expectations. Drake May second in MVP voting. A lot to discuss because I think the narrative is that this team is primed for regression, like kind of only one direction to go, really, unless they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. It's hard to win 14 games back-to-back years. But, I think, like, just to start off the top, I think this team got better this offseason. I really loved what their offseason was. I could see a world where they don't win as many games, but I'm really excited to talk about just what changes they made and how I think this team could look, even if it doesn't result in as many wins. But I'll let you kind of start us off, Christian. Not a lot of new head coaching information or coaching information in general, but they did have some head coaching drama this offseason.
Yeah, they did.
Do you think that's going to
Yeah.
affect them at all?
No, I mean, I'm glad it's kind of gotten settled. The NFL has given their piece about it, and it happened very early on in the off season. I mean, sure, fans will be fans, and they'll have something to uh like a sign or something you'll see, and it'll have something vulgar about it, about the situation that he found himself in this off season. But other than that, I don't think the media is going to be bringing this up constantly. So no, I don't expect this to be a distraction. They got it handled pretty and early enough in the off season to where I think it's all football. We'll move past it. I mean, yeah, there'll be comments and stuff like there always is, but yeah, for the coaching staff, it is. I think I don't probably some left, but I think this is for the most part the head honchos are still there. Mike Vrabel is the head coach. Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator there, and defensive coordinator Zach Kerr.
Yeah. And
Okay, I didn't know if I was saying that
yeah, you're good.
right there. So no, I think there might have been like some coaching staff changes, but like I said, like the head honchos are still there. So expecting really good continuity um for this Patriots team moving forward. It's still pretty young team. I know with AJ Brown that makes them a little bit older, but no, and before I give it back to you, Jake, I do share your optimism into with this team. Yeah, I don't know how many games they'll win this year, but no, I was not expecting this, but I think I have a lot of uh a lot of good things to say about this team. I have some quarrels about why I think they might regress, but no, this is a very good outlook for this Patriots.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out about Zach Kerr that I think is really interesting is he was not supposed to be their defensive coordinator last year. Terrell Williams was supposed to be, but he got called away for some like family stuff, and just in a pinch, like they needed Zach Kerr to step up and be that guy. And he did a
Oh wow,
really good job last year. He was really, really strong.
yeah,
So, yeah,
that's I did not know that.
heck
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Heck yeah, he's actually been with Mike Vrabel for a few years, dating back to their years in Tennessee. He was like an offensive coach in college, and then Mike Vrabel brought him in as a defensive guy to help them like, kind of prepare for the defense and defensive
Mhm.
quality coach, and then defensive. He was supposed to be the inside linebackers coach, but became the defensive play caller last year. So, it's really
Oh
nice. Like
wow,
he did a good job, and they're retaining him. He's their D coordinator this year. Feels like they
yeah,
got a little lucky with him, to be totally honest. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could do that in a lot of situations, but yeah, I mean, right place, right time.
hundred
That's
percent,
that's
100%.
awesome. I did not
And he
know
took
about that.
advantage. It's you don't know
Yeah,
when you get
hey,
those opportunities, but when you get them, you better take them.
but yeah, and he did that. So yeah, looking forward to this coaching staff here. Especially on one side of the ball, Josh McDaniels. A lot of glowing things to talk about this offense, I think.
Man, yeah. And to kind of talk about the, again, not a ton of changes. or in the coaching staff. But I do think something that is very interesting, and this is a great segue to kind of the offensive side of the ball, and it applies to the defense too. But this was a team that was incredibly young last year. They had a record amount of rookie games in terms of their starting lineup going into the Super Bowl. A ton of rookies and a ton of games played, like the most in decades as far as a Super Bowl team goes. But I think, you're getting these players are getting a year more in the system. They're getting older, so that's going to help. But also, I think a lot of what happened last year was they were bringing in guys that were good. Like, they were better than the guys they had, but it was a lot of, hey, maybe these guys don't fit our system amazing, but they're better than what we had. This is the year I think you saw them really make a more cohesive roster for what Mike Vrabel wants to run on defense, for what Josh McDaniels might want to run on offense. And just in general, the offensive talent is a lot better. To hit their losses really quick, they did lose Garrett Bradbury, their center. Maybe you say, that's not a big deal. But
it can be. I mean, yeah. But
it
offensive
could.
line. We'll talk about the offensive line.
Well, but and we could talk about the offensive line, but their additions. Oh, and they lost Stephon Diggs naturally, but they added two big receivers, AJ Brown
Yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
Romeo Doubs. So this,
Love,
you
love
hate
that.
to lose Stephon Diggs, who was very good last year for them. I mean, he was a true number one
Yeah.
last year.
Very, very productive.
But I mean, this receiver room is
No,
going to be
it's
improved.
got better. It got a lot better, and the other pieces that they brought in also, I think, helps them fit this scheme a lot better. Yeah, I don't. Should we just jump right in?
Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think starting with I think I'll start with the offensive line since we already mentioned it. Um, I like the Caleb Lomu draft, and you're like, why did they? Well, they drafted Will Campbell last year, tackle. I think they're kind of set at tackle. But I do think this was kind of a calculated move. They did re-sign Elijah Very Tucker, but when when he's playing, he's a very good guard. But injury concerns uh with Elijah Very Tucker, so it kind of helps them piece this offensive line. I think that was a big struggle. Well, not think that was a big struggle for the Patriots last year. Drake May was sacked at a very high clip last year. Will
In the
Campbell
playoffs in
dealt with
particular.
in the playoffs, but I think the regular season too. Uh, he got sacked quite a bit. But like it was crazy because he was like amazing against pressure and stuff like that. Like the stats are the advanced analytics and all that stuff is crazy for like what he was against pressure and all that stuff. But yeah, so I think this offensive line is better. I think it's better equipped now with Caleb Lomu, who probably isn't shouldn't see the field if injuries don't hold up, but could be a nice little stopgap if Elijah Vera Tucker gets injured. Maybe put Will Campbell, who's going to be starting at left tackle, I believe, this season. Maybe slot him in the guard. You don't have to worry about his short arms, even though I think he did play pretty well through the season, just up until the end in the playoffs. But yeah, I think they really attacked this issue because they got smacked in
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl there. It just that the Seahawks could just do whatever they wanted to that Patriots O line there. So I think this unit got better. Just hopefully, injuries aren't a big concern with this group. But I do think they are a little bit more equipped for the pieces that they've added to help supplement that.
Yeah, I love the moves they made on the offensive line. I understand the Elijah Vera Tucker concern. Like, I do hear that. You have a player who, he has been in the league. He's going into his sixth season. And
Oh
in
wow.
just, he totally missed all of last season. And he missed more than half the season in 2022 and 2023. So, like, I mean, this is a guy who has just, and it's been different injuries too. Like that's the concern. So, when he's on the field, as you said, he is great. But how often he's going to be on the field, I don't know. I love him being your guard and then Michael Owenu being the other guard. They're bumping Jared Wilson to center. Jared Wilson was a rookie last year going into his second year. They drafted him as a center, but they put him at guard because they had Garrett Bradbury. You move off of Garrett Bradbury, you can slot Jared Wilson into center, who, for the record, Jared Wilson he's very fast. He's like one of the fastest centers ever timed at the combine. So, he is finally getting to return to the position that he was kind of drafted to play, the position that he has played. So, again, barring health issues, I really do like this interior, and I like what they have. I hate the Will Campbell rhetoric. It frustrates me so much because it's just, he was good last year. Like he was good, and he suffered an injury, and he tried to come, and we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, but like he tried to come back from it too early because it was the playoffs. And so now I'm getting a Will Campbell who's not fully healthy. And oh, hey, by the way, you're playing Khalil Mack, you're playing Will Anderson and Donnell Hunter, you're playing Nick Bonito, you're playing the Seahawks.
I don't think we talk about that enough.
And you're a rookie on top
of that. That playoff run was a gauntlet of just amazing pass rushers.
And like their offensive line was not that good last year. And again, it was anchored by an injured rookie in Will Campbell. And people like, it's so frustrating to me because they're just like, look, Will Campbell's getting done up by Will Anderson, who does up all sorts of like high level tackles. And people are just like, oh, Will Campbell ain't got it. Bump him to guard. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? It's so stupid. So I have faith in Will Campbell. I liked him. Like, I think, give him another year. He'll improve. He does. Like, he was fine last year. He is fine at tackle. And then the Caleb Lomu pick, as you said, I think there's a lot of speculation as to what they're going to do with Caleb Lomu because he was a left tackle in college. And are you actually going to bump in Will Campbell to guard and have Caleb Lomu come in? I think Caleb Lomu is their swing tackle this year, and I think the long-term plan is to replace Morgan Moses with him. Morgan Moses is an older player, so I think Morgan Moses is long in the tooth. He's going to go eventually, and that's when Caleb Lomu is going to become their starting tackle. Yeah. So I'm excited about this offensive line. I do think, to your point, Drake May, he was sacked 47 times last year. I mean, he was one of the highest sacked quarterbacks in the league. Some of that is he holds on to the ball a little too long. He holds on a little more than he should. And I think that's something that is going to be worked on this year. I think the fact that he is going to have A.J. Brown to throw to, maybe, I think the challenge with this receiver core is, like, they've got 5 guys, or they've got 6 guys that, like, I actually like. Like, you have A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, Kyle Williams.
With all that, like, talent you just mentioned on their receiving core, I was just like, it's going to be really fun to see how Josh McDaniels, he's going to have to be in his bag this year because he has a lot of mouths to feed. You got to feed A.J. Brown's mouth, but, I mean, you got to. But, they're going to have they faced a lot of single high coverage last year because teams were just like, I mean, Drake May was awesome at it, but I think just teams just weren't, didn't think, the Patriots receivers could hurt them. But now with the addition of A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, you have a true number 1 in A.J. Brown, so teams are going to have to respect that. So if you're going to single A.J. Brown all day, I think the Patriots will love that. And Drake May, who was awesome at throwing the deep ball, what A.J. Brown's get? Catching these highly contested balls deep in the half of the field. So, it's going to be really fun. I think this will open up the run game a little bit. I mean, they weren't terrible at running the ball last year, but it wasn't their bread and butter. And I think now with A.J. Brown, they're probably going to see a lot more, 2-man high safety looks, and I think that should open up their running game. Drake May, I could see a dip in his passing because they'll be able to run it more. Josh, because we know Josh McDaniels, he wants to establish that run, that power run game, smash mouth football. They have so much flexibility. I think Mac Hollins, you can add him as a blocking tight end too. He's he's a guy that will just do the dirty work that he can, so you can still have that 11 personnel that everybody wants to do nowadays. So yeah, I think this is I think going to be like a much more fine tuned offense
Yeah. It's going to be
um,
more balanced.
for the Patriots. Yeah, it's going to be more balanced and not more Drake May focused. So I could see him having a dip, but I think overall this offense should play a lot more better and look like not just Drake May go make magic for us, throw for, you know, throw for like 40 times and go win us the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you make a really good point about the single high point. They saw the 11th most, according to For the Numbers. They saw the 11th most single high, and I think you really did a good job of explaining too, like what the cascading effect that has on an offense, right? Like you're playing single high as an attempt to almost stop the run, but the reason they were playing it against the Patriots is because, as you said, like who are you going to beat us with? Like Kayshon Bootie's nice, Mac Hollins is fine, Demario Douglas is
Yeah,
cool,
they're
but like
fine players.
there's not like that impending threat of we need to make sure it snap. We got two guys back here to help us. If we don't, we're going to get burned. Like that's just not there. And then the other result is, which at going into the season, like there was a lot of concerns about the run blocking on this team and how that might look. Well, when I get to have an extra guy in the box, their success rate in the first half of this, they finished last year with the 27th highest success rate in the league. And in the first half of the season, it was 30th. But in the back half of the season, when we saw them find that balance, Travion Henderson kind of coming from college, this was a different scheme that he was running in the Josh McDaniels system, and you saw him take a little bit of time to figure out how to adjust to that. Like he was really having a difficult time, but as the season went on, back half of the season, they were fourth in success rate running the ball. So him and Ramondre Stevenson really did figure out what they were trying to do. He is just much, coming into the league, Travion Henderson was just much better outside, running these kind of outside zones versus, running this kind of inside duo concept that they like to run in New England. So I expect that to be improved, and I expect that to be improved not just because, again, it's year two, they have an improved offensive line, but now you're not having to deal with that extra guy in the box. Like, they're going to have to respect A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs on the outside, Mac Hollins or whoever they run, or Demario Douglas, whoever it is in that slot. And then you talked about it with the tight ends. It's unfortunate. They still have Hunter Henry. Julian Hill, they signed. Very excited for him, but, he went down with a season-ending injury in June. So we're gonna miss him, but they also drafted Eli Raritan, who he's just another one of these tight ends that everybody
it's the meta,
the
bro. It's the
meta.
meta.
It's the flavor of the month, and he is a real good. He's I didn't see a ton of Eli Raritan. I didn't get a chance to see a ton of his tape, but just looking at like his measurables, he's kind of a freaky. I think he has a background in basketball, is what I remember. He's big, so like you can play him in line just because of his size, and he's got some good speed. I'm trying to remember if I can go look at what was his 40 time. Let me go see really quick what his 40 time was. It was a 4. Yeah, he had a 4.6. Like he's 6'6" and had a 4.6. Like this can be a guy that. He's going to be a field stretcher from the inline tight end spot. So I'm very excited to see what they can do with him.
Yeah.
And then
maybe run some duo tight end, run some 21.
Yeah. And then they got Reggie Gilliam as the fullback, who Reggie Gilliam is longtime fan favorite of fullbacks. If you know fullbacks, you love Reggie Gilliam. Him just being another piece to this run game is just another piece they didn't have. So like, I understand the vibe of New England. Everybody wants to say this is 9-8. They can't sustain it. And it's probably true. But like they can probably not sustain offensively what they did last year. But this is talent-wise, this offense puts last year's offense to shame. I mean, the
No,
cohesiveness of it.
this is way more balanced, and I think we're gonna see that.
The big question I have is, and we spent a lot of time on the offense, so we can start moving on. But the big question I have before
Okay.
this, because I don't have any doubt about Drake May. Like, is Drake May probably going to take a step back statistically? Yeah. I mean, for all the reasons you said, they're going to try to probably.
Yeah.
They ran the ball a lot last year because they had so many leads, but like, ideally, you're running the ball to start the game and playing the pass off of that as
Yeah.
opposed to having Drake May just need to throw it, as you said, 40 times. Big question: can Travion Henderson fix his pass blocking? Because he was so good at it in college, and he gets to the league, and he is a total liability. And that's the only thing that keeps him from being, to me, their number one, is the fact that he's just a liability in the pass game. So be curious if he can fix that. But we can talk about the defense, Christian. I have a lot of thoughts on the defense as well, but I'll let you kind of start us off if you want to. Give us your big takeaway.
I think defensively, I think it's gonna kind of be kind of what we saw last year. Um, I think it's gonna be a very good run stopping team, which I mean is not a bad thing um to be in the year 2026. To stopping the run. I don't know if they'll get a lot of sacks. Not in love with their edge room, but I like their big guys up front there, so I think they'll be able to get you know stop plug those gaps and stop these offenses from running on early downs. Uh, Defensively, I'm not in love with it. I mean, they got some guys there. They brought in um, a, Kevin Byard. There it is. Sorry, Kevin Byard from Tennessee. He's been in the Mike Vrabel system. They brought in Dermont Jones, edge. They brought in a KJ Britt, linebacker. They guys, but not like any no superstars. Um, so I'm not overly impressed with this defense. I don't know what gear they just hit a gear in last year's postseason that I don't think a lot of us think they could have had. And they lost some talent, some guys that were there last year on that Super Bowl run, and they're trying to slot these new guys in there. But I just not seeing an elite defense. I'd be shocked if this defense was top 10. Um, so
See, I feel you. But again, like, I think, I made a short about how all these top tier defenses, or at least most successful defenses, are all starting from the interior. And, I mean, Christian Barrymore and Milton Williams are still there. They did lose Kyrus Tonga, which sucks. But, like, Draymond Jones is there. He's going to probably play. I mean, I know Over the Cap has him listed as an interior defensive line. I think he can play in a couple different spots. But, losing players like Clavon Chasson, like, he probably overperformed last year. So, I understand why you would probably lose him. He signed a 1-year deal with the Commanders. But again, it's kind of like, it goes back to that theme that I talked about where, as far as the defense goes, I don't know how much better they got, but I do believe that it is a more cohesive unit, and it is more in line with the kind of defense Mike Vrabel wants to be. Harold Landry is still there. Elijah Ponder, I mean, he gets so much hype from Patriots camp. Like, an undrafted guy, but young guy, but a lot of people are really excited about what he can be. And then you got Gabe Akis, who, I'm not going to talk about the Gabe Akis drama with, like, his injury that may or may not have been disclosed. I don't know. But, like, I was a fan of Gabe Akis coming out of the draft this year, and I think landing as a rotational guy on this defensive line, which is, I say this, but I'm not trying to, like, compare it, because I do think Seattle's defensive line is better, but it is a little Seattle-esque in my opinion, where it's like it doesn't have that true number one winner that we think of, but it is built from the interior, and it's got a nice rotation of guys on the outside. So I think it can do enough. This was one of the better defenses last year, especially when it had the health that it needed in the interior. You saw it kind of go a little bit inconsistent without that. But when Milt Williams and Christian Barrymore were in the lineup, this was a really strong defensive front. And then, Robert Spillane is still there. And then in this secondary, they bring in Kevin Byard, which, Kevin Byard reuniting with Mike Vrabel. I'm excited about that. They did lose Jalen Hawkins, which I like Jalen Hawkins. I was a little bummed that they lost him, but he goes to Baltimore, so I'm excited about that. But Craig Woodson last year, Craig Woodson was a rookie, and that dude was balling. He was somebody jumping off the tape. You go watch some Craig Woodson tape. It's really good. And they still got Carlton Davis back there. They got Marcus Jones in their slot, and of course they got Christian Gonzalez. So that's 5. That is
like their corners.
I'm not gonna say it's the best secondary in the league. I don't believe that, but like they got 5 legitimate dudes back here, and there's not a lot of guys that have 5 legitimate dudes. Now the depth behind those 5 guys, you want some Kendall Vildor, you want some Kobe Minor, you want some Brendan Schooler. Like I'd be lying if I said I had done a ton of tape deep dive on those guys. Like I don't know what they're getting after those 5, but like that's 5 guys that they have. So I do really like this defense. I feel what you're saying. Like, is it probably due for a little bit of regression? Yes. I do hope maybe if they can have some more balance on the offensive side, it should help them defensively. Naturally, just if you can play keep away, it keeps your defense fresher. So I am optimistic about some of this, but I am a little nervous about, can Zach Kerr have a repeat of what he did last year? I don't know. Is this defensive front going to have as much success as it did last year with some new faces? Elijah Ponder, can he take that next step? Gabe Akis as a rookie? I don't know. But I like a lot of the pieces. We love Gonzo. We're a very pro Gonzo podcast here, so I think I will lean and say they got a little better. Just I'll give them the edge because of the cohesiveness. So with that, Christian, they got better on the offense, which we both agree. Defense, maybe not. Who knows? What's your outlook for this team? What's their floor, ceiling, and where are they finishing in this division in your mind?
I would say lower. Probably just outside of maybe some injuries or something like that goes down. So I'm thinking like no less than like 7 wins at this point. Even though Drake May is going into year 2. No, year 3. Sorry, he's going into year 3. But I think
do we even count the rookie season?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well. Yeah. True. But I do going into his next season, complete like full season. Uh, as a legit guy, I think he'll get better and it should be much improved. Not a lot is going to be on his plate. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt, giving him at least like 7 wins, 7 to 8. For their ceiling, with a tougher schedule, I'll say 10 to 11.
Okay.
Closer to 10, but I
Okay.
can see maybe getting 11. Yeah, a potential playoff team. I don't. I think they'll make it again, but again, there's always new faces in the playoffs. Some teams regress. I know a lot of people think this team is going to do that with their tougher schedule and all that nonsense. But like, I think we both agree. I think they have gotten better and they have come together as a team more with their pieces and stuff like that. So um, I do think I don't think they're going to be winning 14 games. Knocked down to 10. I think that's still a good season. And in the AFC, you can still make a play. You can still miss it too, but you have the chance to be in the playoffs. And I think with Drake May, if he continues to grow and gets better as he ages, then yeah, the sky's the limit for them. They should be always playoff Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I'm a little higher on them than you. I think their floor, like, I think their ceiling is lower, but I do think they had their floor raised with the changes they made. If Drake May is even 70% of what we saw him be last year, combined with this supporting cast. We know what Josh McDaniels is going to give us as an offensive mind. And then this defense, I just again, is it going to be a great defense? I don't know, but like I think it can give you the league average, like at minimum. I look
Yeah.
at this. I find it really hard, even with an improved schedule. I think 8 or 9 games is their floor. Like I think they're still gonna find a way to win a bunch of games. I'll go ahead and say 8 just to really pick the floor. They got to play Seattle, Jacksonville, Buffalo twice. They got to play Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, Los Angeles Chargers. They got to play Kansas City. They got to play Denver. Like that's 10 games, and like those are all very challenging games. If you want to say they lose all of those games, then yeah, like 6-11 might be this team's floor. I don't think they're going to lose all those games. If they lose most of them, though, I see this team finishing maybe 8-9, 9-8. But the ceiling, I feel 12 games. I feel 12 games is their ceiling. Like again, that's if everything. That's if everything goes right. I land closer to probably like this is a 10-win team this year. Even if they are a better roster, again, like their first 4 games at Seattle to open up the season on banner night. They play Pittsburgh at home, that's winnable, but then it's at Jacksonville, at Buffalo. What's Jacksonville going to be this year? Maybe they regress as well. Who knows? But like that's not an easy game, especially like going to Florida in September. Like that kind of blows, to be totally honest. So, you do get Green Bay at home. You get Detroit at home in mid-November. Like that's really cool. At Arrowhead in December, though, you get to host Denver. Like that's cool. So like some of the even tough games they have, like they do get them at home. That's helpful. But yeah, I feel like, not trying to lock anything in because we're going to lock stuff in at the end of the month, but I feel like 10, 11 wins is probably where I'm going to land with this team. I do think if you're gut checking me right now, they will be in the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to win the division. So you're going to have to wait and see who I think will win the division.
I don't think we waited very long, but okay.
You have to wait
We
and
can
see.
play this game. We can play this
Who's
game.
it going to be? There's 3 other teams. Who's it going to
I
be?
don't know. One's rebuilding, one's kind of in the middle of rebuilding. One has a guy that is a lot of
He's the
people
best
think is the
quarterback
number
in the
one
league,
quarterback.
apparently. That's what everybody keeps
Best
telling
quarterback in
me.
the league.
He's the
So
best quarterback in the league.
I wonder who do you think is gonna top this division?